How's it going, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Thank you so much for tuning into Draw Phase. In today's video, we are going to be looking at counters for Tearlaments. Tearlaments just got introduced into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel meta, and we are already seeing a tier 0 forming. I honestly did not think we were going to see a tier 0, and the reason being is because we are in a single elimination format, and I feel like there's just too much of an open window for upsets, different strategies, gimmicks, a lot of ways that you can win in a single elimination format, and I didn't expect Tearlaments to have such a high rise in popularity and in usage. So, you know, I figured what better way than to just create a counter guide to help you and show you high impacting cards that can help you counter and potentially keep up with Tearlaments. Tearlaments are a formidable archetype of water dark aqua monsters notorious for their fusion summoning strategy and self-sufficiency. By understanding the archetype and employing precise countermeasures, you can successfully disrupt their gameplay. The Tearlaments archetype stands out due to its absence of effect and summon locks. The crazy thing about Tearlaments is that it can be splashed with anything. Primarily in Master Duel and in TCG, it was splashed with Ishizu, but we've also seen it with Branded. We've seen it with Lunalight, Danger. There's just so many ways that you can play the Tearlaments strategy, and the cornerstone of their strategy is milling, a tactic that involves sending cards from the deck to the graveyard to maximize their card usage, load up their graveyard, and activate all of these effects during their turn and during your turn. Here are some effective strategies to stopping Tearlaments. Number one is always going to be Maxi. Utilizing Maxi forces specific Tearlament variants, just such as Danger Tearlaments, Branded Tearlaments, to end on suboptimal boards. And you want to know what the best part about utilizing Maxi against a Tearlaments deck is that Tearlaments do not run counters to Maxi, such as Ash Blossom, Enjoy Spring, Droll and Lockbird, and Called by the Grave. At least most variants from what I've seen so far on Master Duel. One of the biggest weaknesses to Tearlaments is killing off their entire strategy by banishing everything you possibly can. So what I'm talking about here is, please run D-Shifter if at all possible. D-Shifter obstructs Tearlaments' milling strategy by compelling them to end on suboptimal boards similar to Maxi. However, D-Shifter is going to give you a much more impactful end, and most of the time, if you do activate a D-Shifter during their turn, they're probably going to go into a rank 4, and it's usually always going to be either Abyss Dweller if they know what you're playing, or a Baguska if they do not know what you're playing. And if you're playing Tearlaments, this next card is also going to harm you as much as it's going to harm your opponent that's playing Tearlaments, and that is Abyss Dweller. By far the best XYZ and extra deck monster to go up against Tearlaments. This card is particularly effective against Tearlaments because it's just going to negate the graveyard activations. There's absolutely no point to mill anything, because once the Tearlaments monsters or the Ishizus or the Despia, whatever type of variant that they're playing, is sent to the graveyard under the Abyss Dweller, they're going to lose it. They're not going to be able to activate it on the following turn. Of course, the Ishizu cards you can, because you can activate them, basically shuffle cards back into the deck. But I'm talking about Kelbeck, and I'm talking about the other one that when you send it to the graveyard, it automatically mills those 5. So Abyss Dweller is definitely a very, very top choice for the Tearlaments strategy. And if you yourself are playing Tearlaments and you're playing the Ishizu variant, you want to know, you obviously already know that shuffling cards back into the deck is going to be so consistent for you because you're going to disrupt their fusion plays. Getting rid of the Tearlament monsters is just going to be the best play for you. You want to prevent them from accessing and scaling their board as quickly as possible. Now, we're going to go into some high impact counters. These high effective strategies that I went over are literally the cards that you need to consider having in your deck if at all possible, and strategies that you should consider playing if you're playing against Tearlaments. But these next cards that we're going to be covering are going to be the high impact counters for Tearlaments, and there's just so many options that I'm going to keep it very brief, and it's going to be up to you on how to come up with ratios, and it's going to be up to you on how to make sure that these cards have synergy and chemistry with the deck that you're playing. The first high impacting card on our list is going to be D-Fissure, Dimensional Fissure. This card banishes monsters into the graveyard, denying Tearlaments access to their effects and hindering their strategy. So if they mill or they send cards from their hand or field to the graveyard, it's just going to get banished and it's going to completely stop them in their tracks. The next card that we have on our list is Necro Valley. Necro Valley is probably the best spell floodgate in the game. Necro Valley locks down the graveyard, preventing Tearlaments from moving cards from the graveyard and stopping the branded plays, stopping the Shizu plays by negating their effects, thus stifling their plays. The next card on our list is kind of a niche. It's the card that really didn't see a lot of play. It's a card that people thought was going to have a lot of play when Tearlaments were first introduced, but that is Silent Graveyard. By discarding a card, this quick play spell negates effects for an entire turn, eliminating Tearlaments' option. So it's basically a quick play spell, Abyss Dweller. The next card on our list is Macrocosmos. Similar to Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos is just going to banish literally everything. Spell, trap, monster, it does not matter. It's all going to get banished, and it's possibly the best card to play against Tearlaments after Max C and Dimension Shifter. Another card that we thought in the TCG was going to have a lot more play similar to Silent Graveyard is Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. This continuous trap negates all dark effect monsters activated on the field or in the graveyard, hindering the dark Tearlament monsters, which is fairly a lot of them actually. And we are playing in a dark format currently on Master Duel, with Branded Despia also being a top deck and Sprites also running dark monsters in their arsenal, and this card can just have some really great plays. I know I remember utilizing this about maybe 2 formats ago when Branded Despia were literally just decimating the entire format, and it did so much work for me, so I wanted to add it to this list as well. The next card on our list is Different Dimension Ground. Similar to D-Shifter, D-Fissure, Macrocosmos, you want to make sure that you can banish any monsters that are sent to the graveyard during the turn that this card is activated, and it's just going to stop them in their tracks. And as you can see here, the trend is banish, banish, banish. That's going to be the best key to getting rid of Tearlaments and ensuring victory over Tearlaments as well. The next card on our list is DD Crow. Similar to the other cards, this hand trap banishes a card in your opponent's graveyard, and if you can hit the right cards, you are going to prevent fusion plays. So remember this: if they send these Shizu cards, it's going to activate. There's no point in hitting them unless they have an unactivated Ishizu card, so that if it hurts you to get your cards shuffled back into your deck, you could also utilize DD Crow for that. But I would hold off on the DD Crow and utilize it on a Merly, a Sheeran, or any other Tearlaments monster to prevent any sort of fusion buildup. The next card on our list, similar to the banishing trend, and a card that has seen so much play in TCG that I think is going to be adopted in Master Duel, is Evenly Matched. This trap card equalizes card presence, forcing Tearlaments to banish face down cards, crippling their field presence. This card is not only good against Tearlaments, it's good against every single deck. Sprite, Runic, Madolche, Mathmech, Branded, doesn't matter. This card is so good, and its utility should not be underrated, and I would definitely encourage you to play Evenly Matched at 3. The next card on our list is Super Polymerization. We are in a dark format, folks. Everyone is running 1 or 2 darks and are having at least 1 or 2 darks on the field. So if you can utilize Super Polymerization and you have enough extra deck space, I would encourage Super Polymerization. A pseudo spell speed 4 cannot be stopped unless you utilize Solemn Judgment, which not a lot of players are even playing. Called by the Grave, a staple. This quick play spell card is going to banish a target similar to DD Crow, but a little bit slower, because DD Crow can be activated during either player's turn from the hand. Called by the Grave is still a very essential card, and its utility against Tearlaments is very detrimental. The next card on our list is Dimensional Barrier. If you know that you're playing against Tearlaments, like you already know, you saw hand knowledge for some way, you saw hand knowledge, or you saw a card that gives away that strategy, shotgun the Dimensional Barrier and call fusions. They're going to skip their turn. This card is really good. And it's not just good against Tearlaments, it's also good against Branded because you can call Fusion. It's good against Sprites because you can call XYZ. Runic because you can call Fusion. Mathmech because you can call XYZ. It just has a lot of great utility as well. And the last card on our list, similar to the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror and the Silent Graveyard, a card that I personally thought was going to have a lot of play in the TCG when Tearlaments were out, is Soul Drain. We are in a single elimination format, so if you can activate Soul Drain, keep it alive, I promise you, This thing is going to be a floodgate that acts as a permanent Abyss Dweller, and your opponent is going to have the worst time playing against you with a Soul Drain on board. It's going to kill the, it's just a great continuous trap. Activating it, paying 1000 life points, negates the effect of banished monsters and monsters in the graveyard. It's just going to kill the entire Tearlaments strategy, and it's going to prevent them from accessing their effects, executing their strategy, and building up their fusion boards. Tearlaments are undoubtedly a powerful and versatile archetype, but with the right strategies and high impact counters outlined in this guide, you can effectively disrupt their gameplay. Always adapt your approach based on your deck and the specific Tearlament variant you encounter. By employing these strategies, you will enhance your chances of success against Tearlaments. I'm always here available as well, so if you ever have any questions, you want to know about ratios, or you want to know what has been my effective way to beating Tearlaments, I am always open to a conversation in the comments below. Feel free to comment, feel free to DM me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, whatever you want to do. And shout outs to Vault X, our affiliates. We have been getting some great orders off of that, so shout out to everybody that has used my link and or discount code. I really appreciate it. If you are in the market for purchasing card accessories like binders, sleeves, dice, etc., feel free to utilize my Vault X link and or discount code that you can find in the comments below. I definitely do appreciate it very much. This is Low Tier Hero. I hope that you find this counter guide as effective as possible. I hope that you can use it for reference, and I hope that it helps you in your endeavor to beating Tearlaments. And if you can't beat them, you can always join them. This is Low Tier Hero, and as always, folks, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here. Like, comment, subscribe, interact with the video so that we can show up on other Duelist algorithm. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all on the ranked ladder. Take care, my friends.